Hello, good evening, everyone, and welcome to day six. That's right, day six of Tales from the Quarantine. I can proudly report higher spirits today, although I am cheating a little bit. I'm doing it so late at night again. First few days I was doing it like mid afternoon, and I don't know, just went off the rails. But anyway, yeah, much higher spirits today than last night. Had a good day today. Uh, I sort of told myself at the beginning of this that I would try and go out at least once a day for a bike ride. But I went a few days ago and then hadn't gone for like the last 2 days or so. And so was really feeling it. So I went out and I did a good long bike ride down to this place called Universidad Nacional Autónoma de Mexico, the National Autonomous University of Mexico, where I am applying for a master's program. It's a very interesting place, very sort of culturally Mexico, and so it's very beautiful, very big, lots of bike paths, lots of just good roads to bike on. So I went out there and I was out there for a good while. I was out for about an hour and 15 minutes. Did like 15 miles. Cleared the head. Does wonders for does wonders for the mind. And then I came back and did my favorite thing in the world, which was nap. So it was pretty good. And then I spent the last few hours doing some work and cooked a nice dinner. But overall, it's been a very good day. And I feel like I figured out now that if I don't do anything for like the first part of the day, which I've sort of gotten in the habit of doing, usually I like get up. I actually get up pretty early, because the cat always wakes me up at like 6:15, 6:30 or so, because that's when I started feeding her. Because that's when I usually get up for work. Now I'm paying the consequences. So I usually get up pretty early. I go back to sleep for a while, but usually I just kind of loaf around in bed for a good while, get up and make breakfast, and then just sit at the kitchen bar eating breakfast, listening to podcasts, drinking tea, and playing RuneScape for like 3 or 4 hours, usually until like noon. It's bad, I know. And yeah, it always makes me feel. It always leaves me feeling bad when I don't do anything in the morning. So I'm trying to get a grip on that. But actually, speaking of morning tea, this is one thing that's essential if you're going to be a regular Tales from the Quarantine follower. Is that today we have the pleasure of having our daily conversation during my evening cup of tea. It is the best part of the day, other than the morning cup of tea. So cheers, everyone, if you're drinking anything. Um, yeah, so that was like today. I think starting to think back a little bit now. Reflecting on the experience so far. I think what my initial predictions, what I was talking about on day 2 or so, were right. I've noticed that I'm happier and sort of less worried slash anxious when I'm doing a task. Sort of like applying my energy towards a project. And I am at my most anxious and least happy when I am just sort of farting around doing nothing. Um, yeah, so that's I think been one big takeaway, and that also doing nothing all day. Well, okay, let me rephrase. So with the schedule that I have, which is very light, right? So I've got a class first thing in the morning, a class last thing at night, and then a class on Saturday morning. So I'll be getting up bright and early again tomorrow morning to teach my 4 hour 7:30 to 11:30 Saturday morning class. But so like with the limited things that I actually have in my schedule, I have the idea that time is like a lot more free, or like there's a lot more time than I actually think. Especially when I've just sort of wasted the day. I mean, like not really starting doing anything until like noon. I mean, that literally evaporates half of the day right there. And so I always sort of like over plan my afternoons and then like underperform. Also, I mean, usually during like a regular day when the world's not succumbing to global pandemic, I take very short, very carefully measured naps. I set my phone or Google Home speaker for a timer for 35 minutes, and then that's usually good enough of a nap for me. But now, because there's basically no constraints on my schedule, I mean, when I nap, which is basically every afternoon, because I'm a kitty cat, then I usually have a little bit more fun. Let me rephrase. Now that I am not really having all that much to do during the day and I have more time to nap, I just don't set a timer and just go to bed when I go to bed, or sorry, wake up when I wake up. And so in a case like today, where I went for a hour and 15 minute, 15-mile bike ride that included many hills, pretty tired when I get home, especially if because I went out for the bike ride, I ate lunch and then I went to sleep. And I mean, come on, after spending all that energy and then having a big lunch, come on. Yeah, so I ended up sleeping for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, something like that. That was the thing. It's like it was one of those naps where you just like don't even really know how long you slept. You just like wake up feeling sort of in another world. But yeah, so I mean, all this to say, I feel like I've learned a little bit from the time so far. I was thinking this afternoon that last night was actually sort of a turning point of some kind in the quarantine, because or last night was really the first time that I started feeling real panic about all of this. Sort of in preceding days, it was more just sort of worrying about individual things when my mind wasn't occupied. But last night, they all seemed to just come together and to sort of, to form sort of one cohesive set of anxiety, and it all just sort of overcome me. Luckily, I had a good video call and a good text conversation with two good friends, and that usually gets me out of the hole, and that was certainly the case last night. But yeah, I mean, so that's what's going on here. Feeling pretty good, feeling like I have a more complete image of like what this experience is going to be like now that I've been sort of experiencing different emotional reactions and sides and considering sort of different things about it. I feel like I've got a more complete sort of perception of what this might be like now. Definitely feel like I've learned a lesson. And yeah, I mean, things are sort of chugging along. I almost forgot, as I've forgotten for the last 3 videos. There are 2 very special people that I want to say hello to. Joe, hello. Jose Luis, hello. How are you doing? I'm sorry that I forgot for the last 3 days, but hello. How are you doing? And then Danielle, my heart. Yeah, I mean, words can't describe it. You know what I'm talking about. But yeah, so that is day 6 of the quarantine. So I'll see you guys back tomorrow for day 7, our 1 week anniversary. Very exciting. Okay, see you tomorrow.